Hey Disney family, I hope you're ready to learn all things Genie Plus for Magic Kingdom. After this presentation, you should feel pretty comfortable with Genie Plus, and then you just need to take the time to make a strategy for your family. Once you're done, remember the key to a successful Disney trip is always building a trip around what your family loves about Disney. So there are no two Disney trips that are alike. So I hope you take all of my tips and that helps you create your perfect day. So let's cover what you will learn in this webinar. I am going to teach you some Genie basics, how to use Genie Plus, how to build a strategy that works for your family. There are no two Disney trips alike, so I want you to be able to take these skills and then apply them to your own Walt Disney World vacation. Then I want to teach you there's always a solution. I think the biggest issue at Walt Disney World is not knowing how to troubleshoot. And I even have a podcast over this because I do think that once people know what their options are, especially if they're not having the best day or things are just not working, then it makes for a better Disney vacation. So I will definitely be going over that. Before we get started, I am going to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jessica. I am not a travel agent. I am a Disney kid that has turned into a Disney parent, and I've wanted to be a Disney blogger for about 6 years, but I just kept having these kids and I never found the time. Finally, we took a trip in January of 2022, and I said, I am not looking back. I am starting this, and it has been a wild and amazing ride over the last 2 years. I've been going to Disney for over 30 years. I am a mom of four, a military wife. We own 2 DVC contracts, a D23 Gold fan club member, and I am a tradition maker. And that is the piece of magic at home that I love. I thoroughly enjoy making magic at home and creating family traditions and sharing that with you all now so that you can implement some of these traditions into your family. My personal goal is to help you turn magic into memories by helping you reduce your stress and understand how Walt Disney World operates. So, are you ready to get started? I want you to turn off any distractions. Go get that water bottle if you need it. Close the door. Turn your phone ringer off for 60 minutes or less. I might be able to get it done sooner than that. I'm going to teach you how to have the best day at Magic Kingdom using the tech that is available to you. So, the goal is you're going to design your day for your group, yourself, your family, but I want you to also enjoy the day because so many times as the planner, we don't get to enjoy the day because we're too busy thinking about everyone else. So let's get started. Magic Kingdom. So, Magic Kingdom is a huge park. You could fit all of Disneyland into Magic Kingdom's parking lot and still have room for 500 cars. Magic Kingdom is 107 acres and it's broken up into 6 different lands: Main Street USA, Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Frontierland, Fantasyland, and Liberty Square. Each land has their main attractions, but there are little pockets of magic in each of them. That's why, as repeat goers, we don't necessarily have the same trip every time because there's things that we can do that we haven't done in a long time. Magic Kingdom is the most visited park in the world with over 17 million visitors per year. This is also where you're going to find those classic 1971 Disney rides. So this park also has the most rides without a height restriction and over 20 plus Genie ride selections. So this makes it one of the best parks for Genie Plus. It makes it one of the best parks for the whole family. You cannot do this park in 1 day, 2 days, even 3 days would be stretching it. So just know you're going to learn how to pick your priorities and you will build the best day possible, but it is not possible to do it all because you will be missing something. So let's talk about, is Genie Plus worth it? So the average wait time at Magic Kingdom is 39 minutes, which you may be thinking, that's not bad. 39 minutes is not bad to wait in line, especially for some of these rides. But if you have children like me, 39 minutes over and over and over and over again is enough to drive my children crazy and they will be throwing tantrums. So yes, my family, we do 1 or 2 of these extended waits a day, but we are utilizing Genie Plus because it is going to save us 4 to 6 hours a day. even more in some cases. So Genie Plus for us, we're always going to say it's worth it. And then you have to ask yourself, do you want to get on your top priority rides that the group wants to get on? Do you want to go into Magic Kingdom Park having a solid plan? And do you want room for magic? If you have 8 rides that you want to get on, and on average, you're waiting 40 minutes for the rides, you have to eat somewhere on top of that. You're missing parades, you're missing moments of magic that could happen from characters walking to their different locations. Now there's a few roaming characters during the early mornings. Like, you want to save that space to see the show, see the parades, meet and greets with characters, because you're not waiting in line the whole time. So that is important to me, but that's also where the magic is in the trip. So maximizers for Satisficer. So I'm going to make you a Satisficer. A Satisficer is an individual that is like, look, we only have a certain amount of time. We have priorities. We are going to take a deep breath. We're going to do the priorities. We can't do it all. You know, this is a good enough day. We're going to have a blast. We're going to have a blast getting on our certain things. We are not going to do it all. We all have this mentality of this maximizer. And I get it, because Disney is expensive. And you're like, I want to know that I'm getting the bang for my buck. I'm doing as much as I can. We are paying like $600 to be here today. We better get on everything. And I get that. I get it, because it's expensive and you want to maximize. But this is the number one reason people have a bad experience, is when they are trying to maximize their day and not being realistic. And then if you haven't been to Disney in a while, this is not the Disney of the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s. It is complicated, and that is mainly because it is so popular. There were so many people who go to Walt Disney World Resort. It would be impossible to run Walt Disney World the same way they did in the 80s and 90s, because it is actually more accessible to people than it was then. A lot of times people went to Disney just once, and that was it in all of childhood. But now we travel more, we move more, we work remotely. So we go to Disney. So we're going to find that happy medium, and we are going to become Satisficers, because it's really important to also consider your party. When my husband and I go on trips alone, we really don't use Genie Plus, because we really don't care about getting on all the rides. And if we really want to ride, we don't mind waiting 45 minutes for it, because it's just the two of us. And we are taking our time. We even get overstimulated as adults, so we take breaks from the parks. We go in and out. We're not there all day. You have to understand, if you're going with young children, they are going to need more downtime and rest. They don't know how to explain that they're overstimulated by the park. You know, I know, I hear the people. We're like, we are never breakers. We are going to the parks and we are going to be there all day. And I get that. But it can ruin a trip so easily, and I don't want that for you. So I'm going to teach you how to have a more balanced Disney day. So this is what my balanced day looks like. It's always going to be 50% of rides. We're going to eat a lot. We're going to watch some shows and parades, and then we are going to rest. We usually take a 2 to 3 hour break. Even if we can't make it back to the resort, you will find us somewhere in the park, resting, sleeping, getting off of our feet. We need that time to recharge so that we can make it all night, if we are going to make it all night. Now, I know some people who they go to the park early and they leave early. They never see fireworks because their kids have to go to bed. And I get it. Like, that is what works for your family. Then I have some people who I know who start late. So you just have to figure out what the rhythm is for your family. We love being at the park early, but we also love watching fireworks. So for us, we know we need a 3 hour break in the middle of the day, because let's say on a typical Magic Kingdom day, we just were there. We were there last week. So Magic Kingdom opened at 9. We were there for early entry at 8:30, actually before, because remember, the park opens, Main Street USA opens an hour before park opening, giving you those amazing like castle pictures that look like no one is in the park. So you're there that early. During the winter months, it usually closes around 10. During the summer months, it usually closes around 11. If you have extended evening hours because you're at a deluxe resort, that's 2 more hours. Magic Kingdom can easily be a 14-hour day. So that's why that rest for us is so important. So how do I build my day? It's through the realistic Disney day method, and that means 8 experiences. You might be thinking, 8 experiences, I am paying $600 to be here. We flew down here. We're at the resort. Yes, I get it. I get it. Do I only have 8 experiences in a Disney day? Mostly no. But If you go in with the expectation that you will have 8 experiences and these are the goals, 3 of those 8 are your top priorities, you will never have a disappointing day at Disney. If all the rides are down, if it's raining, if nothing feels like it's working, I can still guarantee you that you are going to have 8 experiences. And it's up to your family on what those 8 experiences are going to be. Are they going to be 8 rides? Are there going to be 5 rides, a dining experience, maybe a show, maybe a parade? Are you going to throw a scavenger hunt in there? Are you throwing in Bippity Boppity Boutique? No matter what, you're not going to pass 8 because that is going to be your core 8 things that you know your family is going to achieve. You're going to knock out those top 3 priorities first and then go to the rest. Then you will have filler activities that can fill in the rest of the day. But we are not going in with any more than 8 activities, and you pick what the breakup is that. For my family, we usually do 5 rides, a dining experience, fireworks, and a parade. And then anything else is a bonus, and that's where the magic comes in. So my Disney experience. Okay, it's time to get out your phone. I want you to get out your phone. You're going to download this app if you haven't. My Disney experience is your hub for everything. This is your central nervous system for Disney. You have 16 categories on the main page, and then there's some categories below. This is where you're going to link your whole party, but you're also going to link your tickets, your resort reservations if you're staying on Disney property. You're going to mobile order here. This is your hub. It's not optional if you're going to Walt Disney World. So I always recommend that you pull this app, you download this app 60 days before your trip so you can play around with it so you feel comfortable. Where you're going to purchase your Disney Plus every day is under My Disney Genie Day. That is the overall Genie service that's provided by Walt Disney World. So that is going to be your main tab for Walt Disney World. Disneyland has its own app, so you need to download the Disneyland app. A lot of the interfaces are the same for both apps. So if you're watching this and heading to Disneyland, download the Disneyland app. My Disney Experience is for Disney World. They both have the same interface when you're using Genie and linking tickets and all of that good stuff. So let's introduce Genie to you. So whoever the marketing person was, this it makes it a little confusing, but I'm going to break it down, and I even have sentences for you. So Disney Genie, this is free. This is that My Disney Genie Day tab. This is where it's going to send you suggestions based on your preferences that you set. You also can check wait times, character meet and greet times. You can see when the next cavalcade is going to happen. This is your hub. You don't have to ask a cast member when is the next parade because you can look in your Disney Genie Day. Genie Plus is the service you pay for. So you have Disney Genie and then Genie Plus. This is your service you pay for, $15 to $35 plus tax per person. Don't forget that tax part because it's not an even 15. This is where you are going to book your Lightning Lane attractions. This is similar to the old Fast Pass, except you're not running all over the park getting paper tickets. Look, I know a lot of people are like, but we miss Fast Pass. I remember Fast Pass and I remember Fast Pass Plus and it wasn't that great. I actually love Genie Plus. We just have to pay for it. And I get that. And I miss being able to pre-book some of our attractions. I'm hoping that will eventually come back once they can figure out, because I do feel like if we could book even two attractions and then do the 7 a.m. thing too, it still gives you a sense of stability for the day because you have some things planned. So I get it. Genie Plus saves you 46 hours in line. If we use this in a sentence, it's at 7 a.m. Let's be ready to book Peter Pan's flight. Once we scan in, we can book our next Genie Plus attraction or Lightning Lane attraction. Individual lightning lanes. All parks have at least one of these. You can book up to 2 per day. Magic Kingdom is currently the only park with 2 lightning lanes, but I'm sure as the parks grow or change in the next few years, more parks will have 2. So you can book 2 of these rides a day. So Magic Kingdom is perfect because you can book Tron and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train if you want to. These are each $7 to $25 plus tax per person per ride. So you're already spending Genie Plus, and you have to think, the busier the season, the higher the cost. Same thing for these. And the higher crowd times, the busier times, more demand times, they're going to be higher cost. You can purchase these individual lightning lanes without purchasing Genie Plus, which is great. However, if you're on Disney property, if you're staying at a Disney Resort Collection Hotel, you have the advantage because you are able to book your individual lightning lane at 7 a.m. If you're off property, you can book an individual lightning lane once the park opens. And yes, a lot of times right now, these individual lightning lanes are still available at park opening, but you just have to be ready to go and ready to pick your time. If we use an incident, since we're park hopping today, let's pay for Rise of the Resistance in the morning when we're at Hollywood Studios and pay for Guardians at Epcot for the evening. So if you have a park hopper ticket, you can book at 2 different parks. It's wonderful. Then Lightning Lane, that is the physical queue that you walk through to access your individual Lightning Lanes and Genie Plus rides. That is the physical queue. So you have your Genie Plus selections where you book your Lightning Lanes, your individual Lightning Lanes that you pay per ride, and the Lightning Lane is the actual queue. Clear as mud, I'm sure. So if you can't let go of your maximizing self, here are 3 more ways to kind of help you get more without sacrificing the integrity of your Disney vacation. So rope drop is a term that we use when you arrive to the park as early as possible and there is a physical rope that is preventing you from entering an area, and they literally take that rope off and now you can go through. Magic Kingdom is the only park that allows off-site guests to rope drop, which is wonderful. So there are 2 opportunities for rope drop there. Early entry hours is something only for those who are staying at the Disney resorts and select Good Neighbor hotels. They have a list on their website. I also have it on my blog. If you want to check it out, you get 30 minutes before park opening, and you'll be surprised what you can achieve in that 30 minutes. And then even right when park openings, because you're already in the park. Then there are extended evening hours, and this is for specifically Disney Deluxe Resorts, and you can enjoy 2 hours after the park closes on select days. You can check their calendar. I also post this on Instagram once a month, and this is great because, again, it's only open to Deluxe Resort guests. It is very easy to get on multiple rides, but it is late. I have a 3-year-old at the point when I'm recording this. It is very hard to make it to extended evening hours for us, but we have done after hours activities with her, but we mainly rest all day. So let's talk about purchasing Genie Plus. So this is what it looks like. So when you open your Genie Plus app to purchase it, you'll have your day. It'll say purchase for the day. It then will explain what Genie Plus is and what the Disney Genie service is. Then we now have variable pricing, which I am happy about because I remember paying like $25 for Magic Kingdom or for Animal Kingdom, and I was like, this is not worth $25. So variable pricing is a good thing because it allows you to pay for what the park is worth. It seems like the trend is that multiple parks and Magic Kingdom Park are always the same price. So if you do have a park hopper ticket, I always just say buy the multiple parks just in case you do decide to hop. I don't recommend park hopping if it's a first trip and you've never been to the parks, or if you have littles, because it's already so much to have to go back and take a break. Unless you know you're going to be intentional and you've been to Disney before and maybe do Magic Kingdom in the morning and then Epcot in the evening. That's the only reason I would say have a park hopper ticket if you have young kids. I personally love park hopper tickets, and we always get them because it allows us the freedom to feel like annual pass holders before we all became annual pass holders. So that's why I liked it. But we were already going to Disney multiple times a year. So that's why we enjoyed the park hopper ticket freedom. Now with the annual passes, it feels like a park hopper all the time. Then it will do a roll call. Make sure you select everyone you need to purchase Genie Plus. When we travel with friends, which we travel a lot, I have them buy their own Genie Plus because it does get a little messy. The individual lightning lanes, I sometimes will have to buy for the whole party because it's just easier to book to get all the same time, but I have the other person purchase their own Genie Plus. We used to do it where we would buy it for everyone, and it just got really messy, and it's actually kind of expensive to do it when you have a larger group. You can have up to 12 people on your account linked that you book for Genie Plus at the same time, which I think is wonderful. You can book at 12 a.m., but I typically purchase that from 6 to 6:30. You really want to purchase before 6:30 because if there's an issue, you want to be able to call. If you call Disney in the morning before 7 a.m., it actually prompts you like, is this a Genie Plus issue? That way they can help you. So If you have any issue, just make sure that you give them a call in the morning. Get it booked by 6:30. Genie Plus is only sold out during the holidays. If I was there on Christmas week, Thanksgiving week, maybe I would book it at 12 o'clock, but I've never had to do that. If I do book it at 12, it's because I'm in the middle of my Disney second shift, so I'm awake anyway. If you want to learn more about the Disney second shift, head to my blog, but I'm usually packing snacks, plugging everything in, and it turns to midnight, and then I'm like, oh, let me just go ahead and buy Genie Plus. So again, you really don't need to buy it at 12 unless it's around the holidays, like specifically Thanksgiving week and Christmas week, because those are the weeks that I've seen it sell out. So let's talk about Genie Plus and my top picks. So this has a skip now button, and I was so tempted to skip it when I first saw it because I didn't realize how important it is. But what this does, it allows you to select your top picks. At first, I didn't understand because it had like dining on there. It was like, what's important to you? Well, that's part of the Genie service that is going to try to make suggestions to you. So if characters are important and Anastasia and Drizella are out by the castle, it might send you an alert or say, this is a suggested activity for you. What's really important here is the attractions list. The attractions are in alphabetical order on your Genie Plus app. If you wanted, let's say, Tron, or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and you wanted to book that ILL, that means you would have to scroll down all the way to the bottom to get that. But if you put it as one of your top picks, now don't put everything because it just puts it in alphabetical order, but you're going to want to put those top 3 priority rides up there. It now puts it at the top of your screen. So this is an Epcot shot that I have, and you can see Sora and Test Track are part of my top picks, and they're at the very top. So I don't have to scroll down to find those because at 7 a.m. it matters when you are racing to book your time and the ride that you want is all the way at the bottom. So, like I said before, Magic Kingdom Park's individual lightning lanes are Tron Light Cycle Run, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. They both actually are available right now after park opening. Really busy times, they are sold out, but right now they are available after park opening. I'll show you in a couple of slides how I know that. But they do sell out relatively early. Tron does have 2 chances for the virtual queue, so there are multiple chances to try to get on Tron. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has a standby line, so you are able to wait standby if you don't get the individual lightning lane, but typically you have a chance to get it. So the virtual queue, this is how you get in it if you are wanting to get on Tron with the virtual queue. Everyone with my Disney experience should attempt to get it. The virtual queue is really tricky. It's hard to get sometimes. And so a lot of times we'll all try to get that first before we book the other things. But I understand also the rush to want to get your Genie Plus selection. So if you want to split the group, that one person does that and one person does the Genie Plus selection, especially if you don't care about purchasing the ILL for Tron. If you're just like, well, it'd be nice if we could write it twice or if we could write it for free, that's when I think you only have one person trying to do it. So as you can see the steps here, you'll have something that says join the virtual queue. Do this before 7 a.m. Do not wait till 7 a.m. to do this step. You can pick the ride and then put your party in. So then it's ready. And the screen where it says this is your party, where it says to refresh, that's what you're going to continuously hit when it gets close to 6:59:59 to try to enter the virtual queue. So this is what your interface looks like if you're trying to enter the virtual queue. It is pretty simple. Just make sure you follow these steps. I start refreshing once it hits 6:59. We usually have a world clock that is going for the timer so we can hit it right away. Again, if you don't care about paying for the individual lightning lane if you don't get the queue. Then have one person do the queue, one person do Genie Plus at 7 a.m. That way you knock both of those out. And then you go and book the individual lightning lane. So that's the order: virtual queue, Genie Plus, individual lightning lane. And you can see here we got Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot, and we were boarding group 64, and it gives you an estimated callback time and how long, the wait in line is. So the thing about Tron is that queue is mostly outside. So if the weather is kind of bad, they have umbrellas out there, because Tron doesn't go down in bad weather typically because it's covered with the canopy. So the queue is outdoors. It can be 45 to 60 minutes long. It is a long queue. It's not the same as Guardians. Guardians is really interactive. Guardians is typically like 25 minutes to 45 minutes, where Tron can get up to 60 minutes, and Tron's queue is not interactive, it's outside for most of it. Unlike Guardians, which is indoors and has all this stuff going around, on around you. And so it feels like less of a wait time. So just keep that in mind if you have young children, that you're still having to do the things to prepare, like if you're waiting for a long line. So bring in like the things that they can play with. Don't leave it in the stroller, because the queue can get very long for Tron. The other thing about Tron, Guardians, if you're in the virtual queue, you can return really at any time. Tron is not like that. And the reason is because everyone was trying to ride it at night, because it is really cool at night with the lights going. So when you get Tron, you need to go when your window is called. The only exception to that is if you have a dining reservation at the exact same time that your virtual queue is called. If you have a dining reservation, take your receipt to the line where your virtual queue, you're going to enter the virtual queue, show them your receipt, say that you had a dining reservation, and they should let you in, no problem. So let's talk about the rules of Genie Plus and the flow chart. So this is the flow chart of Genie Plus. So here are some basic rules. Everyone can book at 7 a.m. Everyone can book their first Genie Plus Lightning Lane selection at 7 a.m. On-property guests can book their individual lightning lanes also at 7 a.m. Everyone can attempt to book the virtual queue at 7 a.m. At 1 p.m., you must be in the park. So if you are wanting to get on Tron and you want the 1 o'clock virtual queue, you must be in Magic Kingdom in order to do that. Off-property guests can book any available lightning lanes at park opening, which there have been some. So you don't have to give up hope that maybe you won't get it. Now, around the holidays, that's when it gets tricky, or busier times of year, it's also tricky. Everyone can book their second Genie Plus selection at their first tap in, or 2 hours after the park opens, which is the 120-minute rule. So if you look at our Genie Plus flow chart, book Genie Plus at 7 a.m. Is your return time more than 2 hours after the park opens? Yes. Book your Genie Plus ride 2 hours after the park opens. My pro tip is always to set multiple alarms, so that way you can remember. Also, in the Genie Plus app, it now has a line that says you can book at whatever time. If it's not more than 2 hours, book your next Genie Plus selection as soon as you tap into your next ride. Now, some of the rides have 2 tap styles, some have 1. You will have to tap in at both tap styles if there's 2 before you're able to book. Then, is your return time more than 2 hours away? Yes, then you need to set an alarm, and you just keep repeating this process all day. So here is an example. At 7 a.m., I booked the individual lightning lane for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for 9:45, because I know we're going to go to early entry hours and start in Fantasyland. Then I Genie Plus Ariel's Grotto, but I only get it for 1 p.m. because it is a sellout. It's a ride that sells. It's an attraction that sells out pretty fast. Magic Kingdom opens at 9 a.m. So I can book my next booking time is at 11 a.m. So even though you booked at 7 a.m., you didn't get a time till 1. The park does not open till 9 a.m. So you can't book until 2 hours after park opening. This trips people up all the time. They think it's 9. Why can't I book again? No, it's 2 hours after the park opens. So at 11 a.m., I get Peter Pan for at 11:45 a.m. And you're thinking, wait, but Ariel's was at 1, and then Peter Pan I got 11:45. Well, that's because the return time was earlier. I tap in at 11:50 because you have that hour window into Peter Pan's flight, and I book Adventures for Winnie the Pooh at 1:15. I get off Peter Pan's flight and we go have lunch at Pinocchio Village House, and we go visit Ariel at 1 p.m. But you can't book your next lightning lane. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why can't I book? Like Ariel was booked before Peter Pan, all of these. Well, because your last lightning lane that you booked was for Winnie the Pooh. And if you're seeing Ariel at 1, you haven't tapped into Winnie the Pooh at 1:15. So you now have to tap in at Winnie the Pooh before you can book your next one. So at 1:30, you tap into Winnie the Pooh. You decide that you're going to do some filler rides. Ride Teacups and Dumbo, head to Main Street for ice cream, get a spot for Festival of the Fantasy Parade, and take a break. So what I decide at this point, okay, is it a priority to do more rides in Tomorrowland? Should I stream these low demand rides and just be able to walk on to Teacups, walk on to Dumbo? Or do I start stacking lightning lanes for the evening? Let's say Big Thunder Mountain had like a 7 o'clock time, or Jungle Cruise had a 7 o'clock time. Maybe I book that, hit the 2 hour rule, and just keep trying to book rides around the time of that Jungle Cruise. That's where you have to start thinking of strategy in the moment. So as much as you can have things planned out, you still have to kind of be ready to pivot and think, okay, what should I do now based on the rides and the choices that I know my family wants to make? So here's how you start your game plan. If you're at a Disney Resort Collection Hotel, you need to decide, are you taking advantage of early entry? Are you taking advantage of the individual lightning lane booking? Are you going to do the 2 rope drops, or are you going to just stick to Fantasyland and Tomorrowland? If you're off-property guests, you really need to take advantage of that virtual queue, and also this rope drop opportunity into Adventureland, Frontierland, and Liberty Square. So you heard me use this term, sellout order. What does that mean? Well, this means which rides are the most popular and will sell out first. This is a general overview of what the sellout order is. In the morning, these rides typically sell out. In the afternoon, evening, and then I have my list of do not use. And the reason why is because Dumbo has a play tent where you get a pager so kids can play in there. Mad Tea Party is rarely over 20 minutes of a wait. Mickey's PhilharMagic barely has a wait ever. And Barnstormer, especially after fireworks, or outside of the peak window of the day from 12 to 4, typically has a low wait time. So I only say to use Genie Plus on those if they're important. All the other ones, they have sellout times, and we'll go more into that a little bit later. So now let's plan your day using the RDD8. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to identify what your top 3 priorities are for your family. Before you even decide, like, okay, these are the 8 things, what are the top 3 things? And based on those top 3 things, you're going to start building, because your top thing may be Bippity Boppity Boutique, and that counts as one of your 8 experiences. So identify what the top 3 things are. Decide if you're going to purchase ILLs and who's writing, because again, remember, you don't have to buy for the whole group. The same way you don't have to book a Genie ride or a lightning lane for the whole group. You can book for certain people. Decide who is going to go on the individual lightning lane, because again, that's pay per person, and you don't want to have to go through the trouble of getting a refund for someone who's not going to ride. You want to list any shows, parades, dining experiences that you've already booked in your realistic Disney day. So that way you already have, the times and everything ready to go. You are going to decide a group, if you're going to take a midday break, what that looks like. If you're going to stay in the park and do the break, or if you're going to go to the resort, and about what time. For us, we typically like to take it after the second festival of the Fantasy Parade, especially during the summer when the park is open a little bit later. Then you want to decide on any strategies and make a list of filler activities. And then you want to leave room for magic. Again, I say to pick those 8 things because you want to leave that room for, like, if a cavalcade comes by and you want to stop, you're not rushing to the next ride. Or if you happen to catch Mickey's Friendship Fair, you stop and you watch that show. You want to make sure that you're not filling your day so much that you're not leaving room for magic. So if you look at our daily plan, this is a sample that I made for my family. So our top three priorities are Peter Pan's Flight, Enchanted Tales of Belle, Big Thunder Mountain. We have dining reservation. We are going to Festival of the Fantasy Parade at 12 o'clock. We would love to get a picture with Ariel, Happily Ever Fireworks. We'll do the individual lightning lane, which Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and Tron. Then here are just some treats and eats, storybook treats, Cosmic Rays, Pinocchio Village House, midday break, after Festival of the Fantasy, at least until 4:30, maybe longer. Then we have our bonus and filler things, which I'm just listing out. We don't have to do any of these, but I just want them there just in case we need them. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a map. I have these maps on my website too. I try to update them every year because the maps change a lot. But I look at a map and you can see here I have mapped out our 8 priorities. These are the 8 experiences that we want to have. And so I'm looking at the distances of each of them and I can see like, okay, Big Thunder Mountain is way over there, not close to anything. So I don't want to cluster that with the main ones that are in Fantasyland or in Tomorrowland. It's just too far of a walk. So we might do that in the evening. We may save that for the last Genie Plus booking of the night and put that in the evening. Everything else will be in the morning, early afternoon before we take our midday break. Festival of the Fantasy Parade, we put ourselves closer to the castle because we know we are either going to be eating right before it or right after it. And so, because we're going to try to see the 12 o'clock show. So those are the kind of things that you need to know. And if you go like on the Disney website, it has the schedule of the parades ahead of time so you can know what time you need to be there. So always plan with a map. It helps you scale and actually understand where you're going to be in the parks. And again, I have all of these available on my website. So let's talk about sellout order. So this is this last week. This is what I'm sending to my group. I have a group called the Magic Clubhouse and Magic Made Easy, which is my Disney planning community. And so I send out these weekly things to them so that they know, okay, what sold out this week? We can look at patterns. What's abnormal? Like this week, Festival of the Fantasy Parade, Genie Plus sold out. That never is in the top 5. So we'll be like, okay, what was different? Were there a lot of travel groups there? Why do we think that was so popular? And then Tron Light Cycle Run didn't sell out till 150 this day because it looks like people were waiting for the second virtual queue, and then they booked after that, and then it sold out 50 minutes after the virtual queue. Average cost this week was $22. You can see here, it looks like the meet and greets. We were Enchanted Tales of Belle, Ariel's Grotto. Those were the first 2 to sell out. Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, and then other meet and greets were the more popular ones. Remember, Magic Kingdom has over 20 Genie Plus selections, so these are the most important ones. The highest wait time was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at 56 minutes. Overall wait time this week was 19 minutes average. So this is a slow week at Disney. This is one of the weeks that we love to go because the crowds are really low. It's after the holiday weekend, after Run Disney. So average wait time was lower, but again, it's the average. So you're going to have the high wait times like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but Teacups was probably only 5 minutes that whole week. So let's talk about sellout order versus return time. Sellout order is the time in which there's no more available lightning lanes for a specific ride. So you're not able to book this ride anymore. It will gray out and say no Genie availability or says something like that. Your return time, this is a window where you return to the lightning lane and you have an hour to return. There's some buffer around that, but typically it's an hour. So on this phone, you can't really see, but it says it's 1:32. And if you can see the arrow, it's already saying that Peter Pan's Flight is booking for 9:50 p.m. It's only 1:32 in the afternoon. If you were thinking, okay, the sellout usually hasn't been until, 3 or 4, but you're already booking for 9:50, that may mess with your strategy a little bit because you were thinking that you'd be able to get on Peter Pan's Flight earlier in the day. So it's really important when you're deciding what order to book your rides in that you pay attention to that and understand that, like, okay, wow, if this ride sells it at 2, that means all of the choices are gone for the whole day up until the park closes. So if it's important for me to get it in the morning, I might need to move this to the top. It may need to be the first thing I book or the second thing that I book when I get in the parks. So it matters when you're deciding what kind of strategy that you're going to use in the park. So you want to pay attention and understand there's a difference between sellout order and the return time. So we're going to look at our daily plan and booking order. So this is one of the daily plan sheets. You get this if you're in my Magic Made Easy community. I have it on sale for my website. I think I have it on sale for like $2 or $3. And there's various versions. There's like 4 different versions, and it's PDF fillable, so you can type it out. This is what I give people when we're going with a group of people, because I want them to feel like they have a little bit of autonomy and know what we're doing for the day. This version only has the attraction list. I have another version that also has, small attraction list and dining list. And again, PDF fillable, it's wonderful. Then at the bottom, I have Genie Plus booking order or Standby Skipper. Standby Skipper is a service that is totally outside of Genie Plus, but I still use their booking nomenclature even whenever I'm not using it. So for me at 7 a.m., I'm going to look at what my number one sellout is, which is Enchanted Tales with Belle. So that's what I'm going to book at 7 a.m. The second sellout is Peter Pan's Flight, out of our top priorities. Remember, it's what your family's top priorities are. So that's going to be my second booking. I have in there that, yes, we would love to do the individual lightning lanes. And so I'm going to decide early, okay, if we're going to be in Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, I'm going to book those for the morning. So that's also what I'm going to do at 7 a.m. We typically skip the virtual queue for Tron. We have to use Rider Switch, and it takes forever. And so we just bypass it. Then when 7 a.m. hits, I'm either going to book the virtual queue first or go book my Genie Plus and do my individual lightning lanes. So that's your next order. 7 a.m., you're booking your Genie Plus, but if you're going to do the virtual queue first, then Genie Plus, then individual lightning lane. If you have 2 people booking, one person can do the virtual queue, one person can do the Genie Plus. If you're not interested in the virtual queue, one person Genie Plus, one person individual lightning lane. Decide about what times you would want to do that before you book. Make sure everyone is linked at 6:30 in the morning. Then for our second booking, we're going to check our phone and make sure, okay, does it look like Peter Pan's Flight is moving more, or is Ariel's Grotto moving more? And we're going to pick between the two and book, and we just continue going. We know in the evening we're going to stack Big Thunder Mountain with maybe some other lower filler rides, but this is what our daily plan looks like. This is our outline. I put how we're traveling, where we're going, if we're going to extended evening hours, early entry. Make sure everyone understands what's going on before that day comes. And it really is just so helpful. You can screenshot this and just text it. You don't have to print the papers. And if you like paper, print out the paper. So here are just a couple more strategies that will help you plan your Disney day. So stacking is a term that you're going to hear, stacking rides. This is the process of booking rides that stack on top of each other for future use. This is great, especially in the evening. So unlike FastPass where you couldn't overlap, you can overlap times, and sometimes you end up with the sweetest stack. Usually you can stack 3 to 4 rides in the evening if you are not going to the parks right away, or during that midday break. I usually use that time to stack a few rides so that when we come back, we have rides back to back to back. Streaming rides, this is what I do whenever I have low demand rides, or if I'm having a leisure day, or if I have young children. A lot of those low demand rides, you can get closer Genie Plus times than if you're booking just like Peter Pan or Winnie the Pooh. So what I'll do is, let's say we get on Peter Pan and we're like, oh, let's just stay here. Oh, Teacups is available right now. Do Teacups, go do Teacups. Oh, Dumbo's available right now. Book Dumbo, go do Dumbo. Streaming is a really stress-free way to do it. It's not going to get you on the super high demand rides, other than maybe your 7 a.m. booking, but it's a lot less stress. It's easy going, and it's great for littles. If you have little kids, they're not trying to get on Tron in the first place. So it is wonderful because you just kind of walk up to everything, and it makes for the best toddler day. I had my toddler was 18 months old, and we like filmed the whole day, and it was amazing. And this is what we did. This was the tactic we used. We just were like booking one ride after the other and just really relaxing, and it was a wonderful way to use Genie Plus. Then Standby Skipper. Standby Skipper is an app that books Genie Plus lightning lanes for you at Walt Disney World only. You can purchase Standby Skipper 30 days before. If you get on my newsletter list, I have a $5 code. I do not get a kickback from Standby Skipper. It is an app that I can't live without. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you're interested in that, I have another YouTube video that goes into detail on Standby Skipper, and I will be updating it for this year too. Two of the biggest things that have happened to Genie Plus that I think are game changers are the modify and cancel button. You can now click on a lightning lane that's booked and modify it if you needed to get a later time, or you could cancel it. And when you cancel it, you can actually just cancel it for specific people. And another thing I want to point out here, there's also book for another guest. So let's say you forgot to put someone on your lightning lane. You can click that and book for another guest. Or let's say half of you is going on Big Thunder Mountain, the other half wants to do Aladdin's Magic Carpet. You can do that too. So they have really worked on a lot of the kinks of Genie Plus, and it gives you a lot more control, which makes Genie Plus a little bit easier to use. So that modify and canceling button are great. Now I've also done it the other way, where I've hit the modify refresh so many times that I was able to bump the time up a little bit earlier by an hour. Don't count on that happening. It's very rare, but I was able to tap it enough, and I did get a higher time. And that's something you can try to do, but it doesn't happen often. So then just a couple of little tidbits. So that you are more prepared. When you are tapping into Genie Plus, and let's say you're trying to rush through the line because you're trying to get in, every person has to tap. If you don't all tap, you won't be able to book the next lightning lane attraction for that person. So everyone in that time slot has to tap in if they're riding it. You also have the option to cancel them on the individual lightning lane. So if they decide not to go online, they didn't tap, go ahead and cancel them so that you can book your next ride. You can have overlapping plans. There'll be a little bar. It just says you have overlapping plans, and that's it. So feel free to have overlapping plans. If you have a dining reservation and your Genie Plus lightning lanes at the same time, go to your dining reservation. The dining reservation is not going to be able to squeeze you in at a different time. Take your receipt to your lightning lane, show them that you had a dining reservation. They will get you in. So always remember, the dining reservation is the priority over the ride. So let's talk about Rider Switch and Genie Plus. This is another thing we utilize a lot because we have a young child. You can see here my son is setting up his Rider Switch, and this was actually for Slinky Dog Dash. And on our actual plans, it will say Rider Switch and add them. So this is when one adult stays with the non-riders and the other adult rides with the first group. One person is allowed to go back with that adult that is waiting with the other non-riders. This can be the kids are too young, they're not tall enough, or maybe they're just not feeling getting on this ride. But this allows the adult to take someone back. I wish they let you take more, but the most we've ever on occasion, rarely gotten, is two to come back with us. But it's still nice to have the service of Rider Switch. You need to set this up before you get in line. So if you're getting in the standby line, set it up beforehand. If you're using a lightning lane and one of the riders is going to come back with you, you still need to set it up to give them essentially a lightning lane again, because they're using their first one to get in line. So just ask the cast member who has the iPad. You can usually see there's a designated area for them, and they're just setting up Rider Switch all day long. And just make sure you get that set up before you get in the line if someone is going to go back. Now, there are times we haven't used Rider Switch. We just split the group, and like half the group went in the lightning lane and then the other group went in the lightning lane. But if you are using a standby queue ever and you can't all ride together, because Disney doesn't have like a waiting area up there, you have to stay out of line and wait for the whole party to come back. Make sure you're setting up Rider Switch so one person gets to go back with you, and then you get to go through the lightning lane. Because even if you're in the standby lane, you will get to go in the lightning lane once your group comes back. And in that case, they will give both you and the rider who's going twice a lightning lane, so you don't have to wait in line again. Then you also want to leave room for magic. You want downtime and fillers. And that's why I say you plan this realistic Disney 8. You want to be able to stop at Sir Mickey's and get some pixie dust, or catch a show if you wanted to. Go into Mickey's Philhar Magic. This last trip, we had no intention of watching Mickey's Friendship Fair, and it had just started, and we just stopped and watched the 20-minute show because we weren't running to our next lightning lane. You want to maybe take a spin on the Liberty Square River boat. There's so many things that are going on at the park. You don't want to feel that you have it so scheduled as rides and you're constantly on your phone trying to book the next ride that you miss out on these little pieces of magic, because this is what makes your Disney trip. So then the other thing I really want to hit home is that you need to be flexible. Be ready to pivot, pivot, pivot. Flexibility is vital when using Genie Plus at Disney. Most of the time, everything runs smoothly. You have good days. You're able to get on all these rides. But there are some days where the rides are all breaking down. The weather is terrible. You're not feeling like you're getting your value out of Genie Plus. And according to the Disney website, it really only is supposed to get you 2 to 3 additional rides a day. But in my experience, I usually get like 6 to 10 rides. So it just doesn't feel right. If you are someone who's like, I only got on one ride with Genie Plus, that's mainly because you didn't take the time to do research and know how to use it. You thought you could go to Disney and just be able to use it for whatever you want because you thought it was just like a system where you could book. I already explained 17 million people go to Magic Kingdom a year. There's nothing you can do about the crowd levels. Like people go to enjoy themselves on vacation. And so the ones who are going to be able to get the most out of it are the ones who take the time to learn the tech that's going to help you. If for some reason you do only get on one ride or it's a terrible day, I will tell you, go to guest relations and see what they can do for you. They may be able to give you a refund. They may be able to help you out. If you are discouraged early in the day, you need to talk to someone. Don't wait till the end of the night. See if someone can help you make this a little bit better. Before I go, I'm going to talk to you about my planning community, which is Magic Made Easy. If you haven't been to Disney in the last 2 years, you feel overwhelmed, you feel like this presentation gave you a good grasp of Genie Plus, you may want to consider joining the community. This is a cost. It's a private Disney community. You have full access to me. I send those weekly updates. This community, though, goes over every aspect of Disney, and it also has guides that are being entered for each park. So not only will you learn everything about Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, Disney's Hollywood Studios, the water parks, mini golf, you also will know everything about the resorts, dining. You'll know how to actually plan your day. You'll learn about all the things that Disney has to offer that people don't talk about, like archery, painting, mosaic tiles, which all have a Disney touch. So in this community, my goal again is to turn magic into memories. It has 8 simple chapters that go over everything from picking the right travel agent to planning your day, the park guides, the Magic members community, weekly updates. You have access to all the guides and webinars and that I sell in my shop. So like if this Genie Plus YouTube video was great, but you're like, I want something tangible, I do have a Genie Plus guide that is very detailed, and that actually goes over my Disney experience in totality, and then it goes over strategy for every single park so that you know what to book, when to book, how to book, and how to plan your day. You get that access in the Magic Made Easy community just by being part of it. I do quarterly Zooms when people need me to. I also am willing to take questions in the Magic members forum anytime. There's also the Magic Clubhouse, which is a free membership. And this is where you can access the Magic members community, which is our forum. And you also get free access to live webinars that I do. I'll send the link out. And if you're free, you can join them. And also any Q&As, and you get the weekly updates on Genie Plus. So you could join this for free. So what are your next steps? Find me on everything. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. I have a podcast, a YouTube channel. I have a TikTok I don't use, but maybe one day I will. And then obviously my blog, and sign up for that monthly newsletter that I send out with everything going on at Walt Disney World. And it sends you a bunch of goodies in the beginning. But most of all, I want you to enjoy the magic. Like, that's what we're here for. There's so many beautiful memories that I've made with my family at Walt Disney World Resort, and I want that for you. I hope that this webinar or YouTube video has helped you in understanding Genie Plus a little bit more. Please leave all your questions in the comments, and I will be sure to answer them as they come in. I love Genie Plus, and I would love to help you maximize your day. So again, thank you for watching this entire video. Don't forget to hit the like button if you found it useful. Subscribe to my channel. That helps us creators keep creating content for you so that you have access to the best Disney trips. Everyone have a magical day.